RFP preparation and proposal writing. Preparing proposals can be a long and difficult task where missing one detail could cost you the deal. If you're responding to an RFP, which is short for request for proposal, the stakes are even higher. You have to answer each question and complete each form. Multiple file formats, strict page limits, and specific forms all add pressure. In these moments, the way you respond is just as important as the content itself. So let's see how a well-planned AI workflow keeps you accurate and leads you to a complete proposal response. By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to set up a ChatGPT project with memory for this RFP, summarize the RFP and spot hidden needs, build a checklist of all required sections and documents, draft clear questions for the requester or the procurement department, find current pricing ranges for this exact scope, create a proposal outline that matches the RFP. Plus, you'll learn how to create an AI grade of your proposal, plus notes for any gaps that you need to fix for an A+ result. Keep in mind, these steps and processes can apply to any detailed project proposal, even if it's not called an RFP. Okay, let's begin. First, I'll walk you through the exact steps we will follow with ChatGPT. I'll use a dedicated ChatGPT project for this RFP so the AI can remember key details and keep all files close at hand. I'll upload the RFP itself and every RFP-related file from the request, such as exhibits, appendices, submission forms, and formatting guides. With everything in one place, the model can keep requirements in view while we work. Okay, we're now in ChatGPT. I want to open up my side column here, and I want to go to New Project. Now notice I'm under Projects. In ChatGPT, it's called Projects. In Gemini, it's called Gem. Each platform has a different name for their projects, but the idea is that it's an isolated area where you can store documents and you can isolate the conversation to these assets. So I'm going to name this one. This is going to be for a documentary. So documentary, and it's going to be a proposal. We're going to call it that, okay? Documentary proposal. Now, in ChatGPT, you can have a choice of whether or not this information is project only or if it can see things outside of the project. Now, in this case, I don't want it to learn from other projects or other information from my company. I want to keep everything, all the memories, restricted to this project, not outside. So all the memories stay here. So I'm going to check project only. Okay, so now we have this project, create project. And in the project, I want to give some instructions. So the instructions for this project are going to be, you are my proposal analyst for the documentary production RFP. Now given, you name it for whatever RFP you're working on. Name it based on the project or the RFP that you're working on now. Keep in memory the key dates, mandatory requirements, evaluation criteria, etc. When I draft content or ask a question, remind me if I miss a requirement or drift from the stated goals. Confirm by listing back the items you will track. You can be more precise on this, but this is a good starting point, okay? So I'm going to save that. And now I have my project to work in, but not yet. I want to add all the files from the RFP. Now I want to drag in the RFP. All right. So this is an RFP for a documentary production. Now, often RFPs come with multiple files. It could be the form you fill out. It could be other requirements. Maybe you've already started the RFP and you already have some questions and answers. Add all those files in here for reference, okay? Most projects have more than one file, but we'll go with just this one for now. Okay, now we have our project and it knows the RFP. Let's begin to work on it. First, I want to summarize the RFP and surface any hidden needs. So now I want a clean map of the RFP. This includes the buyer's goals, mandatory requirements, how the response should be scored, and every deadline. I also want the AI to point out any implied or unstated needs that show up in the language. These insights help me tailor the proposal to what the buyer really values. So in ChatGPT, I have this prompt. It says, summarize this RFP into 4 sections, buyer goals in plain language. I want to know mandatory requirements and attachments that I need to make sure I have. I want to evaluate the criteria, understand the weights, any pass or fail items. Let's see what else we have here. My prompt, key dates, submission format, delivery milestones, then list any implied needs or risk concerns the buyer hints at, such as scalability, security, speed of delivery. These are going to be things that you understand your industry, you understand what you may find as red flags in a proposal. So be sure to stylize this for what you do to make sure you help AI point out any red flags in this document. So it has the document. It has my prompt for it for asking for summarization. So let's see what the summary is. Now, given this document is multiple pages long, by now it would have taken me probably an hour or two to just read through this document, but now I don't have to. I have the buyer's goals in their plain language to glance through really quickly. I see what is mandatory. I know what sections I have to complete, what documents, the pricing, mandatory evidence and qualifications. I have to be in the SAM registry. I have to have proof of permanent business address, all these things. Now, these are things that could be woven into a 30-page document, but now you know exactly what's in there, and you have a chance to cross every T and dot every I, as they say, to make sure you don't miss anything from this document. You'll now know the evaluation criteria, the price review, how that's done, key dates. You don't want to miss that date where there could be a question review date. There could be, like it says here, questions are due on this date, when the proposal's due, how you have to package it. You have your whole project timeline here, when things are due, and if you win the project, what are your delivery timelines, deliverables. These things are so important. And so now you have it in about a one-page summary, which could have taken you hours to read the document. And as a human, we would have missed some of these things, right? So now you have a very detailed summary of everything that's in the document and what you need. Now, I noticed that it actually offered to do certain things, which we're going to do them anyway. We're going to actually create a checklist, an outline, and etc. So right now, the first thing we want to do is the checklist. I have a prompt for that. I'm going to paste my prompt in that says create a comprehensive checklist of everything the RFP requires, include every requirement to address each section, all supporting documents that I need to attach to win this RFP. Return it as plain text in 3 fields per line item so I can read it easily. So here's our prompt to get us an outline of the RFP. So what we get here. Again, it's only rooted in the document we gave it. Here's our outline. So we know per section what's required of us. But you know what? This is a bit much. I want a checklist, right? I see the things that are here, but let me just stop that because you're going to have to iterate this every time when you do things. You want to make sure it's giving you what you want. So I'm going to just do this in real time here and say, you know what? Let me stop this and say, no, I want a clean checklist that I can look at as I complete my proposal. Just a simple checkbox checklist. I don't expect to get the boxes, but this is just for me to help it understand what I'm looking for. All right, let's see what we got here. It's going to go through and give me a clean list. There we go. And I actually kind of have check boxes. So what I do personally, I literally print these out so that I can have a hard copy to check through every piece that I've actually done to make sure before I turn this response in that I've done every single thing according to what they required. They also may be many, many documents. So you want to make sure that every document they require, which could be anything from your company overview, your executive overview, could be resumes, could be documents of any certifications you have. You want to make sure you have this listed out. And before you finish it and call it final and turn it in, you've checklist everything that's here. Look at this. It's asking for your financial statements for 2 or 3 years in the past. If you miss any one of those, you could be out of the race for this business. So this checklist is on point. It's exactly what you need. I'll continue scrolling some more here because you'll see you have your pricing section, your scope of work requirements, your deliverables, your evaluation requirements, representations and certifications, as I mentioned, So all of those things, and it's funny, it says, would you like a downloadable spreadsheet? It even suggests what I was suggesting to you. Once you get these things done, you want to download it to either a spreadsheet to check off on screen or a printout to check off by hand. You need something you can check these things over and over during your proposal creation process. Now that you're working through your proposal, questions may arise. And in many RFP proposal processes, you'll be able to ask questions before you submit your final proposal. So we're going to use AI to look through the proposal, plus your experience in the industry, look through the proposal and ask questions. You want to make sure that if there's anything in that proposal that you as a professional or that AI can help you find, if there's any questions, you'll surface those questions and have those to present to the requester of this proposal. So now let's go into ChatGPT. All right, we'll paste our prompt here that says, act as a professional documentary producer. In this case, the RFP is about documentary production. So that's what this is. But in your case, put in whatever the professional you are or that your expertise is needed here. Based on the RFP and your summary, draft a numbered list of concise, clarifying questions for the procurement contact, focused on scope boundaries, volume assumptions, etc. Now, these are things you want to ask based on the RFP. Remember, we're in a project, so it knows the whole RFP. It's already in the project, so it's not flying blind here. You want to pull out questions from that RFP that apply and that you can use. So let's see what we get here. Now it's reading the RFP again. It's looking at it through professional eyes and saying, what are the gaps here we need to know to make a better response? So let's see. Can you confirm the expected final routine runtime of the featured documentary since the RFP leaves the length open to specification? See, there's a gap. The RFP may not have said the exact runtime of this documentary. And if you're trying to create a proposal, you want to know because that affects your pricing, right? So all these questions will affect your response, perhaps your pricing. So these are questions now you can copy, of course, review them first. And there's a lot of them here, so maybe all of them don't apply. But wow, it's a lot of questions. Hopefully the RFP isn't so vague that you have this many questions, but I have seen ones that are. So look at your questions, select which ones you want to send back to the requester, and when they respond, now you have a much better chance of having a great proposal. In fact, this particular RFP had a time period and a deadline for submitting questions. So now you can take advantage of that and submit your questions. Okay, we are still in our project, but let's go back to the beginning of the project and we'll see we have that conversation we just had as the RFP summary. I would suggest keeping each question, each part of this separate in a separate conversation because they will all be in the documentary proposal folder. So now let's have a new conversation. Let's say you know your pricing, but you don't know exactly what the market pricing may be for this particular scope, and you want AI to be your assistant at looking at the pricing. So let's think about pricing here and put in this prompt. Using only the scope defined in this RFP and considering the region, we'll just say this region is United States. Provide current industry pricing ranges in the market, typically what they pay for this kind of scope. So what this is saying basically is look at the scope, give me some information on what the industry typically pays for this exact scope. It's looking at what the documentary RFP looks like. One more thing though, whatever platform you're using, whether it be ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude, there's going to be some different levels of how it can be used. In this case, we want to use deep research. You can also use agent mode. I've used all mine up for the month, but you can use deep research or agent mode. Agent goes much, much deeper and takes longer. So deep research is going to go out. It's going to take some time, a little bit more time because it's going to go out on the internet and it's going to look at different offerings based on the things in this scope. So let's set this prompt off and see what we get. Okay. Good thing is it's going to ask some questions. To provide accurate pricing ranges and insights for this documentary production scope, could you please confirm a few things? This is great. Should I assume the pricing should be US based, even though the project includes international travel and locations? Yeah, let's just call this yes, US based. Now, given this is a U.S. Document that they're requesting, but it is somewhere else. It's offshore. So, but we'll just leave this at U.S. based to get the answer we want or we need. Are you interested in average pricing for feature length documentary, episodic video? Let's just say I want pricing for what is requested in the RFP, because I don't know off the top of my head what did it ask for. So let's get pricing for all those things. And then would you like pricing segmented by tier of service or by deliverable type only? Let's just say list by deliverable, because that's how we're going to be pricing it out when we do our proposal. All right, so let's send that off there and let it go to work. All right, you're starting research, so I'm going to be right back. Okay, we're back. It took about 10 minutes because it dug pretty deep into that. And so it responded back. Thanks for confirming my questions. It gave me the price ranges and it gave me some positioning statements. It's a lot. So let me show you what we have here. Use 14 sources. It did 87 searches. Now, think about that. It did research through 14 sources using 87 searches. How much time would that have taken you to do that to all those different sources? Now, what it's given us is industry pricing by deliverable. So this is based on the deliverables that were requested in the RFP. They asked for a short form documentary, 7 to 10 minutes. It gives you some numbers here on that. It asked for a series of short videos, 5 to 6 of those. You got some numbers on that. Now, again, do not take these numbers and paste them directly into your proposal. Look at them to make sure they make sense to what your business does and to what you intend to do as a vendor. I'll give an example. Once I had a proposal we did for video, and we do remote video production, and it pulled in examples of on-site video production, which skewed the numbers drastically. So you have to know your industry, know what you're looking for, and know what numbers make sense. But this is your companion to gather a lot of information quickly. All right. So it looked at packages. It also went as far as to give you some ways to understand the key drivers behind this pricing: compelling storytelling ability, high production quality. So a lot of information here, but it's all very useful if you're creating your proposal. Also, some positioning statements that you can use in your proposal to help position your brand as being better than your competitors when providing this service. All right. And here are all your sources. Be sure to check your sources to make sure those sources make sense and that they're actual competitors or if they understand exactly what you do. Now, I want to go one step further here, and I want to look at just the pricing. So give me only pricing presented in an easy to read table. Categorize by, let's see, the items in the RFP. All right, so now we just want to get a really quick, easy visual on what these prices should be. And so it's going to look at that. It's going to make me a table. Now, here's a really quick and dirty example of the numbers I should be looking at. Now, given this particular example, the prices for the documentary range quite a bit, but it gives you a ballpark, because if you're thinking you're going to quote 5,000 for this and the range starts at 15, you're going to underbid, right? So it's good to have a starting point here and understanding how to position your pricing, and also have a back and forth conversation. Don't stop here. Add in more details about what your offering is and more specifics about how you do what you do to get your pricing more precise, and use AI to save you tons of time in finding out what that pricing should be. Okay, now we've summarized our RFP. We've asked questions to the requester. We've done our pricing and our research. We're ready to start writing and filling out our proposal. To do that, we're going to start a new chat in our documentary proposal project, and we're going to get an outline here. So here's my prompt. I'm going to paste into my new conversation inside the project. Create a detailed proposal outline that follows the RFP structure exactly. For each section, include the purpose of the section in one sentence, the specific points to cover, any data or proof to include, and the required attachments or appendices. Add a placeholder cue, such as insert case study here or insert pricing table, so that I can fill it in wherever needed, all right? So now it's going to go through. We're in the project. It knows the RFP. It's going to go through that, and it's going to make me an outline that I can take this outline, paste it into a Word document, or a Google Doc, and then begin to fill in. So here's my table of contents. Of course, you want to tweak that for your proposal style. And now you can go in and begin writing in these sections your actual proposal, right? You're going to have some placeholders here. You're going to know what content to include. So basically what I do is I'll take that document that I've created from this outline, and first I'll make a table of contents, which you'll say here, we'll ask it for that too. Make a table of contents, and then we'll go into each section and begin writing so that when we finish, we've replaced every item in this outline with our own proposal. All right. So this is your outline. It's laid out 1.4, section 2. Everything is laid out according to the sections in your RFP. So now you can replace that. Now, one more step I would do here is I would say create a table of contents. So that will actually look at the full proposal and make a document for me to add to the beginning of my submission. And it also allows me to align all those items with the final proposal and refer back to my checklist that we created earlier as well. All right, now that you have your first draft of your proposal, it's time to score it. You want to see how good you did, how can you improve it, and maybe what have you missed that you need to add. So what I've done is I've created a mock response to this proposal. This should have a very low score because it isn't the real response. It isn't any real numbers in there. So there should be things missing as well as the attachments are missing. But we'll use this mock proposal as an example to see what the scoring would look like and to test our prompt. All right, here in ChatGPT, let's first drag in our mock proposal. So it's in here, it's uploaded, and it can read that. Now let's put in our prompt. And our prompt is to evaluate our full proposal draft against the RFP requirements you hold in memory. Again, we're in a project. It has the whole RFP in memory. It knows what the requester is looking for, what the client is looking for. And now we have our draft proposal response. Score it from 0 to 100. Again, we'll probably get a low score here because this is a fake response. Provide a rating. Let us know what's missing, what's strong, what we need to fix, what the gaps are. All right, let's see what we get. It is going to go through that proposal that we gave. It's going to give us a score. And let's see what we get here. I can evaluate proposal, but I need the full draft text. Right now, I only have the structure. You have the whole thing. So, all right, let's see what's happening. Okay, basically, it's saying that the mock is so empty that it can't even score it. So let's just tell it that was the full response. Here it is again. Please complete the task. So let's attach the full response again. Evidently, the response was so weak that it didn't feel like it was enough to even score. So let's see what we get. Okay, the score is 42 out of 100. That is not good. You do not want to submit a proposal that's that bad. I think the worst I've ever done in my own proposals looking through here was about an 88 or 90. And then we worked it out until we got to at least 99 before we submitted it. So anyway, this did its job. It scored it, and it says what's passed, failed, or missing. And basically it went through and there's a lot of stuff missing. There is some overview that passed, partial. So now you've got a very clear picture of what to do to fix your proposal. Hopefully you get a much higher score than this fake one did, but it goes section by section and says what's missing, what's partial, what you need to complete. And it's going to give you some instructions like, here's your punch list. Here's what you need to do to fix these gaps listed from the highest to the lowest. And as you use this type of prompt or this process, you can get better and better at making your own version of your proposal review. So now you have a clear example of what to do to create your proposal and score it in the very end. All right, let's look at what we just did. Responding to an RFP used to feel like a full day of reading, copying, and chasing details, then days of making sure everything is responded to. With this workflow, you turn that into a focused block of work. The summary appeared in minutes, the checklist caught gaps before they became problems, the grading step told you exactly where to improve. That is real time saved and less stress for you and your team. AI did not replace your judgment, it removed the busy work so you could spend more time on strategy, pricing, and proof. Your process is now consistent, auditable, and easier to repeat the next time an RFP lands on your inbox. To summarize, in this lesson you learned how to set up a ChatGPT project with memory for this RFP, summarize the RFP and spot hidden needs, build a checklist of all required sections and documents, draft clear questions for the requester or the procurement office, find current pricing ranges for this exact scope, create a proposal outline that matches the RFP, and then grade your draft 0 to 100, flag any gaps, and fix them. You're now ready to carry this on to your next opportunity. Open a new project, run the prompts, and let the system do the heavy work while you focus on decisions that win the work. You have the tools and a repeatable method, so put it to work and keep the momentum.